It was a cold night on the edge of Sector 9, where broken ships lay like bones of forgotten worlds. The air smelled of metal and rain. Commander Ryan Holt walked slowly through the ruins, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. He had seen many strange things in his years working as a salvage pilot, but nothing ever felt this silent. The galaxy was full of noise, engines, radios, life, but here there was only wind. Ryan had come to search for parts from a crashed alien vessel reported 3 nights ago. His ship, the Sparrow, hovered quietly above, waiting. He wasn't expecting to find anything alive. The report said everyone on board had perished. Still, something deep inside told him to check one more time. As he stepped through the shattered hull of the alien craft, his boots echoed against the metal floor. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, soft blue lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. His scanner beeped once, then again. Life signs detected. Ryan froze. He pointed the light toward a corner covered with twisted wires and burned fabric. Something moved, a small shadow. He stepped closer. The shadow tried to hide behind a piece of debris. "It's okay," Ryan said softly, lowering his weapon. "I'm not here to hurt you." The shadow shifted again. Then a pair of silver eyes looked up at him. They were bright, glowing slightly, filled with fear and tears. A small girl crawled out slowly. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light, pale with a faint blue tone. Her hair looked like strands of starlight, thin, glowing softly in the dark. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. She couldn't be more than 10 years old. "You're alive?" he whispered. She nodded, trembling. "They left me," she said, her voice small, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Please don't send me back." Ryan knelt beside her. Hey! "It's all right." "Who left you?" The girl's eyes filled with tears again. "My people. My family, gone. The humans shot our ship. They said no aliens allowed near the colonies." Ryan felt a sharp sting in his chest. He remembered the orders. The blockade? Humans were scared after the last invasion, so they fired on anything unregistered. But this child, she was just a kid. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lyra," she said softly. Ryan took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. "Lyra, you're safe now. I'll get you out of here." But Lyra shook her head. "No, please." "They'll take me away if they find me. I need your help," he frowned. "What kind of help?" She looked straight into his eyes, tears running down her glowing cheeks. "Please, human," she whispered. "Pretend to be my daddy. Just for one day." Ryan blinked. "What?" "They are scanning for survivors," she explained quickly. "If they see me alone, they'll take me. Experiment, hurt me. But if they see I belong to you, they'll believe I'm human." Her voice broke at the last word. Ryan stared at her, this small, trembling being with a heart beating just like his. He didn't know why, but something inside him shifted. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the look in her eyes, those eyes that were begging for just one simple thing: to belong. He sighed deeply. "All right, kid. For one day I'll be your dad." Lyra's face lit up with a fragile smile. "Thank you, Daddy," she whispered. The word hit him like a pulse through his chest. It had been years since anyone called him that. His own daughter had died during the first invasion. For a second he saw her face instead of Lyra's, and it almost broke him. Outside, the scanner alarms began to beep louder. A patrol drone was approaching. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand. "Stay close. Don't talk unless I say so," he ordered. She nodded. Her small hand tightened around his. Together they ran through the wreck, climbing toward the exit. The light of the drone flickered through the cracks in the metal. Ryan pulled her behind a pile of junk and whispered, "Remember, I'm your father now." Lyra looked up, eyes wide. "Yes, Daddy." The drone's red light swept across the floor, scanning, searching. Ryan held his breath. Lyra pressed against him, shaking. The red light stopped, right on them. For a heartbeat, everything was still. Then the drone spoke. "Identify yourselves." Ryan stood up slowly, shielding the girl. "Commander Ryan Holt," he said firmly. "Civilian salvage." "My daughter's with me." The drone paused. Its sensors blinked. "No child registered in your file." Ryan's mind raced. "She's adopted," he said quickly. Recently, there was a long, tense silence. The drone scanned once more, then beeped softly. "Understood. Move along." As the red light faded, Ryan felt his knees weaken. Lyra looked up at him with tears of relief. He smiled weakly. "You did great, kid. Lyra smiled back, and for the first time Ryan wondered if pretending to be her father for one day might change both their lives forever. The night sky over Sector 9 shimmered with broken stars. Commander Ryan Holt sat inside his small ship, the Sparrow, staring at the sleeping alien girl. Lyra was curled up in the co-pilot's seat, wrapped in a thick blanket. Her silver eyes were closed, her breathing soft and steady now. She looked peaceful, too peaceful for someone who had lost everything. Ryan leaned back, running a hand over his tired face. "What have I gotten myself into?" he muttered. He knew the rules. Any contact with unregistered alien species had to be reported to Central Command within 24 hours. But something in him refused to make that call. Maybe it was her voice when she said "Daddy." Maybe it was the way she had held his hand like her life depended on it. The ship hummed quietly. Ryan glanced at the radar. Nothing unusual, just static and soft background signals. Still, a strange feeling crawled up his spine like they weren't alone. He switched the radar to deep scan mode. For a few seconds, the screen stayed empty. Then beep! A faint pulse appeared. Not human, not machine. Something old, something alive, Ryan frowned. That's impossible. He zoomed in on the coordinates. The signal was coming from deep space, far beyond the usual patrol zones. It repeated every 30 seconds like a heartbeat, and every pulse carried the same coded pattern. Lyra. He looked toward the girl again. She shifted slightly, whispering in her sleep. "Don't take me, please." Ryan's chest tightened. He didn't understand what she was or why someone or something out there was calling her name. But one thing was clear. If Central Command found this signal, they would track it. And if they tracked it, they'd find her. He turned off the radar and set course for a hidden asteroid base he used for repairs. "We'll stay off the grid for now," he said to himself. When Lyra woke, the ship was quiet. She blinked a few times, her glowing hair softly lighting the cockpit. "Where are we?" she asked, her voice sleepy. "Safe," Ryan replied. "For now." She looked at him carefully, her silver eyes reflecting the lights of the console. "You didn't tell them, did you?" He hesitated. "Tell who?" "The humans." "About me," Ryan met her gaze. "No, I didn't." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then you really are my daddy." Ryan looked away, pretending to check the navigation. "Don't get used to it, kid. Just until we figure this out." But inside, he felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years. It was dangerous. It was wrong. But it felt human. Hours later, they landed inside the asteroid base, an old mining outpost filled with dust, darkness, and half-working machines. Ryan activated a few lights and started fixing the ship's damaged hull. Lyra wandered around, touching everything with childlike wonder. "What is this?" she asked, pointing at a cracked control panel. "Old mining tech," Ryan explained. "Humans used to dig for ore here before the war." She tilted her head. "Your people like to dig," Ryan laughed quietly. "Yeah. We dig for things we don't understand until they destroy us." Lyra went silent, then whispered, "That's what my people said about humans." Her words lingered in the air like a ghost. Ryan didn't reply. He just tightened a bolt and changed the subject. "You hungry?" Lyra nodded. Ryan handed her a ration pack. She stared at it curiously. "It smells funny." "That's human food," he said. "You'll get used to it." She smiled and took a bite, then made a face. "It tastes like sadness." Ryan laughed for the first time in a long while. "You're not wrong." As they ate, a faint vibration shook the floor. Ryan froze. He checked the scanner again. A new signal, stronger this time, was closing in. Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us." "Who?" Ryan demanded. "My people," she whispered. "Or what's left of them." Outside the base, a strange blue light filled the tunnel entrance. Ryan grabbed his blaster. The metal walls groaned as a small drone floated in, a sleek silver shape humming with alien energy. Lyra gasped. "That's one of ours." The drone stopped in front of her and projected a hologram. A tall alien woman with glowing eyes like Lyra's. Her voice was calm, but cold. "Subject, Aero 7. Return to us." "Your experiment is incomplete." Ryan stepped in front of Lyra. "She's not going anywhere." The hologram turned toward him. "Human interference detected. You are not authorized to protect the specimen." "She's not a specimen," Ryan growled. "She's a child." The hologram paused. Emotional attachment confirmed. Termination recommended. Ryan fired before it could react. The blaster shot hit the drone and the hologram shattered into sparks. Lyra screamed as the metal shell exploded, sending smoke across the room. When the noise faded, only silence remained. Ryan lowered his weapon, his heart pounding. Lyra ran to him, tears in her silver eyes. "You shouldn't have done that. They'll send more." "Let them," Ryan said, gripping her shoulder. "No one's taking you while I'm alive." She stared at him for a long moment, then slowly smiled through her tears. "You really mean it?" "Daddy?" He nodded once. "Yeah, I do." Outside, deep in the darkness of space, the unknown signal pulsed again. Louder, closer, and full of fury, something out there was coming for them. The asteroid base was no longer silent. The walls hummed softly as if they were alive, reacting to something moving through space. Commander Ryan Holt stood by the main console, eyes fixed on the radar. The signal that once pulsed faintly was now stronger. Too strong. Lyra sat beside him, knees pulled to her chest, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She didn't say anything, but her face told the story. Fear. Recognition. Ryan's jaw tightened. "You know what's coming, don't you?" Lyra nodded slowly. "They're called the Seekers." Ryan frowned. "Seekers? They don't forgive," she whispered. "They follow, until they take back what belongs to them." The words hit him like cold metal. He had heard rumors, dark stories about alien factions that hunted their own kind to erase traces of forbidden experiments. But hearing it from her, that was different. He checked the scanner again. 3 ships fast, closing in. "Looks like your people brought company," Ryan muttered. Lyra shook her head. "Not my people. The Seekers serve the scientists. I'm not one of them anymore." Ryan looked at her. "What do they want from you?" Lyra's voice trembled. "They used me to test human empathy. They wanted to see if your kind could love something not from Earth." Ryan froze. "You mean, you were made for this?" She looked down. "I was born in a lab. They said I was half something. Half what they hate most." Ryan took a step closer. "Half human?" Lyra's eyes glistened. "Yes, my mother was from the stars. My father was human." Silence filled the room. Ryan stared at her, the truth sinking like a stone in his chest. That explained her strange connection to him. The way she understood his words, his pain, his hesitation. She was a living bridge between 2 worlds that wanted to destroy each other. But before he could speak, the base shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. The radar screamed, "Impact detected! They found us!" Lyra cried. Ryan grabbed his blaster and ran to the viewport. Outside, 3 silver ships circled like predators. Blue beams of energy sliced through the asteroid, carving into the tunnels. "Get to the ship," he shouted. Lyra hesitated. "They'll shoot us down." "Not if we move fast." He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the Sparrow. The floor trembled with another blast. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the air. Ryan hit the engine controls and the ship roared to life. Metal debris exploded around them as the hangar door cracked open. "Hold on tight," he yelled. Lyra clutched the seat as the Sparrow shot out of the asteroid, spinning through a storm of blue fire. Ryan twisted the controls, dodging energy bolts. The stars blurred as they escaped the collapsing base. Behind them, the asteroid erupted, burning like a dying star. But the Seekers weren't done. 2 of their ships locked onto the Sparrow and gave chase. "Can't outrun them," Ryan shouted. "We'll need a jump point." Lyra's hands trembled as she touched the control panel. Strange alien symbols glowed under her fingers. "I can help. I can open a worm gate." Ryan blinked. "A what?" She closed her eyes, concentrating. "It's like a hole between stars. My people use it to hide." The panel flickered. Lights danced across the cockpit. The radar went wild. A swirl of light appeared ahead, a glowing vortex spinning in the dark. Ryan hesitated. "Are you sure about this?" Lyra nodded. "Trust me, Daddy," he smiled slightly. "You're starting to sound just like my daughter." Then he pushed the throttle forward. The Sparrow dove straight into the light. For a few seconds, everything went silent. The stars vanished. The ship floated in endless white space, calm and soundless like a dream. Ryan looked around. "Where are we?" Lyra opened her eyes. "Between worlds," he frowned. "That's not exactly helpful." She smiled faintly. "We're safe here. For now." Ryan exhaled and leaned back. "Good." Because we need a plan. But before he could say more, something flickered outside the viewport. A shadow moved across the white void, massive, shapeless, watching. Lyra's smile faded. No, not here too. Ryan turned to her. What is it? The Seeker Mother, she whispered. She can follow through time itself. The light outside dimmed. The ship's alarms began to scream again. Then, out of the whiteness, a face appeared, vast, cold, and ancient. Eyes like suns, voice like thunder. Return the child, human. She is ours. Ryan gritted his teeth. You'll have to go through me first. The voice echoed again, deeper, closer. So be it. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Lyra screamed as energy crackled around her body. Blue sparks ran across her skin. Lyra! Ryan shouted, reaching for her. I can stop her, Lyra cried, tears in her glowing eyes. But I'll need your help. How? Believe in me, she whispered. That's all they never could. Ryan took her hand, gripping it tightly. Then let's show them what humans can do. The white space trembled like thunder. Light burst from Lyra's body, spreading through the cockpit. The Seeker Mother roared, her voice shaking the stars. And then everything went dark. The silence was endless. Ryan opened his eyes slowly, blinking against a dull white glow. The hum of the Sparrow's engines was gone. Even gravity felt strange, light like a dream. He looked around the cockpit. Everything was still. The panels flickered faintly. Lyra lay motionless beside him, her small hand still locked in his. Lyra? Ryan whispered. No answer. He gently shook her shoulder. Hey, kid. Wake up, her fingers twitched. Then her eyes opened, glowing faintly silver, softer than before. She looked at him, confused. Where are we? Ryan glanced outside the viewport. The white void was gone. In its place floated a vast field of stars, bright, slow, and strangely beautiful. But they didn't move like normal stars. They pulsed like living hearts. We made it through, Ryan said. But I don't know where. Lyra sat up slowly. This is the Veil, the what now? It's where lost things go, she said quietly. Where thoughts, dreams, and broken memories drift forever. Ryan frowned. You mean, like a graveyard? Lyra shook her head. Not for bodies. For minds, her words made him shiver. The stars outside seemed to shift, and for a moment Ryan thought he saw faces. Human faces flashing across the glass. Soldiers, children, strangers, all fading as quickly as they appeared. What is this place really, Lyra? He asked. She looked down. My people built it long ago. It's where they sent the failed ones. Experiments that didn't survive. Ryan felt his chest tighten. Failed ones. Like you? Lyra's voice trembled. Yes, but I was different. I was made to connect, to understand love. They called it an error. Ryan clenched his fists. You're no error. Lyra smiled faintly, but her eyes were sad. You're the first human who ever said that. Before Ryan could reply, the lights on the console blinked. A soft voice echoed through the cockpit. Commander Ryan Holt, you are trespassing. Ryan froze. The voice was calm, human, but not alive. He leaned toward the mic. Who's speaking? I am the Archive. Keeper of the Veil. Lyra gasped softly. That's one of the old programs. It guards the gate between worlds, Ryan straightened. We didn't mean to trespass. We're being chased. By whom? By the Seekers, Lyra said quickly. They want to take me back, a pause. Then the voice spoke again, colder this time. Subject 07 detected. Genetic hybrid confirmed. Unauthorized existence, Lyra's breath hitched. No, please don't erase me. Ryan slammed his fist on the console. You touch her and I'll tear this ship apart before you get the chance. The silence stretched. Then the voice softened slightly. Human emotion detected, unusual, you protect her. Why? Ryan's voice was low, full of weight. Because she's just a kid. Because she trusts me. Because someone has to. A long pause. Then the lights dimmed. The voice whispered, perhaps you are the proof. Before Ryan could ask what it meant, the ship shuddered. The stars outside turned red. A new signal appeared, fast, sharp, and angry. Lyra gasped. The Seekers found us again. Ryan's eyes darted across the controls. How? I thought this place was hidden. It is, Lyra said, her voice shaking. Unless someone let them in. The Archive's voice returned, now distorted. Containment breach. Unauthorized entry. Purging begins. Purging? Ryan yelled. Outside, beams of red light tore through the glowing stars. The memory screamed. The faces in the glass twisted and vanished. The veil was collapsing. Ryan pulled Lyra close. "Hold on, kid." The ship trembled violently as a seeker ship burst through the distortion, sleek and black, shaped like a blade. Its weapons locked on the Sparrow. Lyra's eyes flared bright silver. "I can stop them, but I'll need the Archive's help." "After it just tried to erase you?" Ryan snapped. "It doesn't understand feeling," she said. "I'll make it understand." Before he could stop her, Lyra placed her hands on the control panel. The light surged around her. Streams of energy flowed through the ship, merging with her glowing veins. Ryan stepped back, eyes wide. "Lyra, what are you doing?" Her voice echoed, soft but powerful, talking to the veil. The stars outside began to swirl, forming shapes, images of humans and aliens standing side by side, smiling, building, fighting together. Memories of unity, not fear. The Archive's voice trembled. Emotion, compassion, connection. Anomaly accepted. Then with a final pulse of light, the veil responded. Energy shot out like lightning, striking the seeker ship. The black vessel screamed as its structure dissolved into dust. When it was over, silence returned. The stars dimmed once more. Lyra fell to her knees, weak but alive. Ryan caught her before she hit the floor. "You did it," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "We did it." But before Ryan could relax, the console flickered again. "Warning, gateway unstable. Collapse imminent." Ryan's heart sank. "Of course it is." Lyra looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. "We have to leave. But the veil can send us anywhere, anytime." Ryan nodded slowly. "Then let's go home." Lyra smiled, closing her eyes. "I don't know where home is." He squeezed her hand gently. "You do now." As the Sparrow entered the collapsing light, the veil whispered one last message through the static. "Remember, love is the bridge." And then, once again, everything vanished into white. When Ryan opened his eyes again, he was staring at clouds, real ones. Thick, gray, and heavy with rain. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. Then the cockpit lights flickered and the smell of burning circuits hit him. The Sparrow was falling. "Lyra," he shouted. The girl stirred beside him, her skin pale, her silver glow dim. "What happened?" "No idea," Ryan said, pulling the controls. The ship rattled like a dying beast. "The veil must have thrown us out somewhere near a planet." "Where?" Ryan looked through the cracked viewport. Uncan froze. Below them stretched green forests, deep mountains, and rivers glinting under storm clouds. But there was something familiar about the sky. The shape of the clouds, the blue beneath the gray. "Earth," he breathed. "We're home." Lyra looked out with wide eyes. "This is your world?" "Yeah, but we're not supposed to be here." The ship roared as it descended. Alarms blared. "Brace yourself!" Ryan yelled. The Sparrow slammed into the ground, sliding through mud and trees before stopping with a violent jolt. Smoke rose from the broken engines. Sparks lit the dark cockpit. Ryan coughed, unbuckling himself. "You okay, kid?" Lyra nodded weakly. "I think so." He smiled with relief. "Welcome to Earth, Lyra. Not the softest landing, but we're alive." Rain poured outside as they stepped onto the wet ground. The forest was quiet except for the sound of dripping water and distant thunder. Ryan looked around, scanning for landmarks. "Looks like we're somewhere near the northern zones," he said. "Probably abandoned land. No colonies here." Lyra touched a leaf gently, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's so alive." "I can feel everything," Ryan smiled faintly. "Yeah, Earth does that to you." For a moment, everything felt peaceful. But peace never lasted long around Ryan Holt. A distant hum broke the silence. He turned sharply. "Down," he whispered. Lyra crouched beside him as a black drone flew overhead, its red sensors sweeping the forest. The insignia on its side made Ryan's stomach drop. A silver eagle with 3 stars. "Central Command," he muttered. "Human Patrol." Lyra looked at him nervously. "Will they help us?" Ryan shook his head. "Not if they see you. You're an alien. And I'm a deserter now." The drone passed slowly, scanning the wreck. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her deeper into the trees. "Come on. We move before they lock on." Hours later, the rain stopped. They found shelter in an old bunker, half covered in moss and vines. The air inside was cold and smelled of rust, but it was safe. Lyra sat near a broken window, watching lightning flicker in the distance. "Your world is beautiful," she said softly. "But it feels..." Sad Ryan was fixing a damaged power cell. It's been through a lot. Wars, fear, greed. We forgot how to care about anything that doesn't look like us. Lyra turned to him. But you cared? Ryan looked up. What do you mean? You cared about me. You didn't have to. He sighed. Maybe I saw something familiar in you. My eyes? She asked, smiling. He shook his head. Your courage. Lyra blushed faintly, though her skin made it look like silver light. Daddy, she said quietly, do you ever miss your real daughter? Ryan froze. The tool in his hand dropped. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then in a voice rough as stone, he whispered, Every day. Lyra moved closer. What was she like? He smiled sadly. Small, loud, brave, she loved the stars. Always wanted to see them. Lyra looked up at the cracked ceiling. Maybe she's watching now. Ryan swallowed hard. Maybe she is. Suddenly, the bunker lights flickered. The scanner on Ryan's wrist beeped. 3 signals approaching fast. He jumped to his feet. Company's coming. Lyra's eyes widened. The Seekers? No, Ryan said grimly. Humans. Through the window, 3 armored soldiers appeared, weapons glowing. Their helmets carried the same eagle symbol. One of them pointed at the wrecked ship through a hollow screen. Ryan cursed under his breath. They found the Sparrow. He turned to Lyra. Listen to me. Stay behind me no matter what happens. Lyra's voice trembled. Will they hurt you? They'll try. He smirked. But they'll regret it. The bunker door burst open. Light flooded in. Hands where we can see them. One soldier barked. Ryan raised his hands slowly. Easy, boys. Just a crash survivor. Another soldier stepped forward. Identify yourself. Commander Ryan Holt, ID 773 Delta. The soldier's visor flashed. You're supposed to be dead. Ryan grinned faintly. Not yet. Behind him, Lyra peeked out. One of the soldiers saw her and froze. Sir, the child... Her eyes. The leader lifted his rifle. She's not human. Ryan moved instantly. He kicked the rifle aside and fired his blaster. Blue light flashed. One soldier fell. Another stumbled back. Run, Lyra, he shouted. Lyra hesitated, but then raised her hands. A surge of silver energy burst from her palms, sending the soldiers flying. The walls shook. Sparks danced in the air. When the smoke cleared, the soldiers were unconscious. Ryan stared at her, amazed. Where did you learn that? Lyra looked down, frightened. I didn't, it just happened. Ryan smiled faintly. Remind me not to make you mad. She giggled softly, then her face turned serious. They'll send more. Ryan nodded. I know. He looked at the horizon where the sky glowed red with warning lights. And next time it won't just be humans. Lyra tilted her head. Then who? Ryan stared into the storm. The Seekers will come for both of us now. Lightning cracked across the sky. Earth was no longer safe. The forest was burning. Smoke twisted between the trees and the air shimmered with heat. Ryan moved quickly through the undergrowth, his arm around Lyra's shoulder. Behind them, the bunker was gone, turned into a crater of flame and broken metal. They had been running for hours. Lyra's glow had dimmed, her face pale and tired. I can't... Keep going, she whispered. Ryan stopped beside a fallen tree. Rest here, he said gently. We'll move again once the drones pass. She sank to the ground, her breathing shallow. The silver veins under her skin flickered faintly. Ryan knelt beside her, worry etched across his face. You used too much energy back there, he said softly. You need to stop doing that. I had to, she murmured. They were going to hurt you. He smiled weakly. You're a brave kid, you know that? Lyra's eyes fluttered open. You taught me that. Ryan's heart twisted. He looked away, pretending to check his wrist scanner. The signal was full of interference, too many pings, too many threats. The humans were hunting them. And somewhere beyond the clouds, the Seekers were coming. Hours passed before the forest grew quiet again. They found a cave hidden behind a waterfall. The air inside was cool, filled with the echo of dripping water. Ryan gathered what he could, dry leaves, scraps of cloth, to make a small fire. Lyra sat beside him, watching the flames dance. It's strange, she said softly. Your world is so full of fear. Yet it feels alive, Ryan nodded. Earth always finds a way to survive. Even when we don't deserve it. Lyra tilted her head. Then maybe you deserve more than you think, he chuckled. You sound older than you look, she smiled. Maybe I am. They sat in silence for a while. Then Ryan asked quietly, "What happens if the Seekers find us?" Lyra's expression darkened. "They'll take me back to the core. I'll be erased, my memories, my soul, everything." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Not on my watch." Lyra looked at him, tears shining in her eyes. "Why do you keep risking everything for me?" Ryan stared into the fire. "Because I already lost one daughter. I'm not losing another." Lyra's lips trembled. "Then, I'll fight too." He looked at her, pride and fear mixing inside him. "You're too young for war," she smiled faintly. "I was born in one." The next morning, Ryan woke to the sound of footsteps. He grabbed his blaster, eyes scanning the cave entrance. "Relax," said a voice from the shadows. "If I wanted you dead, you'd already be ash." Ryan froze. From the light outside stepped a woman in a dark coat, her face scarred, eyes cold and sharp. She wore a patch with the Central Command eagle, but it was crossed out. "Who are you?" Ryan demanded. "Name's Captain Mira Valen," she said. "I used to hunt people like you." Ryan kept his blaster aimed. "Used to?" She smirked. "Until I realized the people I worked for were monsters." Lyra stood up slowly, her eyes glowing faintly. You're human?" Mira nodded. "Last time I checked." She studied Lyra carefully. "So this is the hybrid the command's screaming about?" Ryan stepped between them. "She's not a weapon." Mira raised her hands. "Easy, Commander. I'm not here to hurt her. I'm here to help." Ryan didn't lower his gun. "Why should I believe that?" "Because the Seekers are already in orbit," Mira said. "They'll be here within hours, and Command plans to hand her over in exchange for a peace treaty." Lyra gasped. "They'll trade me?" Mira nodded grimly. "They think it'll stop the war." Ryan's voice turned to steel. "Over my dead body." Mira met his gaze. "That's probably how it'll end if you stay here." "But I know a way out," Ryan frowned. "Where?" She pointed toward the mountains. "There's an old launch site, Project Arcturus. Abandoned years ago. It still has a jump gate. You can escape before the Seekers arrive." Ryan looked at Lyra. "Can you handle one more run?" Lyra nodded weakly. "If you're with me." He smiled. "Always." They moved fast through the forest. The ground shook with distant explosions, humans fighting something in the sky. When they reached the mountains, the air turned cold and thin. The old launch site was buried under snow and stone, but the steel arches of the gate still stood. Strange energy flickered faintly between them like dying lightning. Mira tapped the controls. "Still functional," she said. "But it needs power." Lyra stepped forward. "I can do that." Ryan grabbed her arm. "You're too weak," she smiled gently. "You taught me to be brave, remember?" Before he could stop her, Lyra touched the gate's surface. Silver light spread from her hands, filling the old machine. Sparks flew. The air shimmered, but the moment it activated, alarms blared. Red beams shot across the snow. Ryan looked up and his blood ran cold. Above them, massive dark shapes broke through the clouds. The Seekers had arrived. Mira shouted, "They're locking weapons!" Ryan pulled Lyra back. "We're out of time!" Lyra's glow brightened, her voice trembling. "If I use the gate now, it'll open for only one of us." Ryan didn't hesitate. "Then you go!" Lyra shook her head, tears falling. "No, not without you." He smiled, his voice breaking. "You're not losing another father either." The sky cracked with blue lightning as the Seekers descended. The gate roared like a storm. Lyra screamed, "Daddy!" Ryan held her hand one last time. "Remember what the veil said. Love is the bridge." Then he pushed her into the light. The gate exploded. The light swallowed everything. For a few seconds, there was no sound, no time, only brightness like the heart of a star. Then slowly the glow faded. Lyra gasped as her feet touched solid ground. She stumbled forward, falling to her knees. The air was cold and thin, but she was breathing. She looked around. Mountains of glass and metal stretched in every direction. A strange city, broken and empty. She wasn't on Earth anymore. "Daddy?" she whispered. No answer. Only the echo of her voice. Tears filled her eyes. She clutched her chest. "You promised." A soft wind moved through the ruins, carrying faint whispers. Memories of people long gone. Lyra stood slowly, glowing faintly under the silver sky. She could feel the gate's energy inside her. It still pulsed with Ryan's touch. "Love is the bridge," she whispered. "Then bring him back." But before she could act, the ground trembled. The air rippled. A dark figure stepped from the shadows, tall, thin, and glowing with blue veins. A seeker. It stared at her silently. You survived, it said in a voice like glass scraping metal. Lyra stood her ground. He saved me, the seeker tilted its head. The human. Foolish. He gave his life for nothing. She clenched her fists. No, he gave it for everything. The seeker's eyes glowed. Return, Subject 07, you belong to us. Lyra's voice was steady, though her heart trembled. I belong to no one. She lifted her hands and silver light spread from her palms. The air shimmered around her. The seeker hissed, raising its weapon, but before it could fire, a shockwave burst outward, knocking it backward. The ruins shook. Dust fell like rain, and in that chaos a voice echoed softly through her mind. Lyra, can you hear me? Her eyes widened. Daddy? Yeah, it's me. The voice was faint, broken by static. I don't know where I am. The gate, it didn't kill me. It scattered me. Lyra's heart raced. You're alive, sort of. Half of me's in the light, half stuck between worlds. But I can see you. She looked up, tears in her eyes. I can bring you back. Just tell me how. No, Ryan said softly. If you open the gate again, the Seekers will use it too. They'll destroy everything. You need to close it, forever. Lyra's lip trembled. But I can't lose you again. A pause. Then his voice came gently. You're stronger than you think. You always were. Remember what I said. Love isn't about holding on. It's about letting go. Lyra fell to her knees, crying. Please, Daddy, don't leave me. Hey, he said, his voice soft, full of warmth. You're not alone anymore. You'll carry me with you, every step, every breath. That's what being human means. The words broke her heart, but they also gave her strength. She wiped her tears, stood tall, and turned to face the Seeker. It was rising again, blue fire glowing around its body. You cannot win, it hissed. You are just a child. Lyra looked at it, her silver eyes blazing. No, I am hope. She raised her hands and light exploded outward. Pure, bright, alive. The Seeker screamed as the light tore through it, dissolving its form into dust. The ruins trembled. The ground cracked. The gate behind her flared with power, unstable and wild. Lyra turned back toward the light, her voice trembling but clear. For you, Daddy, for us. She placed her glowing hand on the gate's core. Energy rushed through her body. Pain burned in every nerve, but she didn't stop. The storm of light grew stronger until it covered the sky. Through the brightness, she heard Ryan's voice one last time. Calm, proud, full of love. I'm proud of you, Lyra. She smiled through the tears. I love you, Daddy. Then the gate imploded, a silent flash that spread across the sky like dawn breaking. When the light faded, the city was still. No more Seekers, no more machines, only wind and the quiet hum of rebirth. From the ashes, a small light floated upward, soft, silver, like a fragment of a star. It drifted into the clouds, disappearing into the endless sky. And somewhere far beyond the stars, a voice whispered gently, Humanity isn't just blood. It's the courage to care. Epilogue years later on a distant colony, explorers found a strange monument in the middle of a glass desert. It glowed faintly at night, shaped like two figures, one tall, one small, holding hands. No one knew who built it. But travelers said that if you stood beside it during a storm, you could hear a child's voice in the wind whispering softly, Please, human, pretend to be my daddy for just one day. And somewhere in the stars, Ryan Holt smiled.